guys, welcome to our channel, and today we're going to be talking about Python. So first, we'll be talking about what Python exactly is. And then I'll teach you about inputs and variables. Then I'll teach you about conditional statements, and finally, we might even get to do a little project at the end. I've searched up on Gemini, what is Python the coding language? It gave me a response, and it says, Python is a versatile and widely used high-level programming language. Here's a breakdown of what that means. And it gave all these reasons. You can take the time to read this by pausing the video, but I'm not. Now, we're going to open PyCharm. And as you see, PyCharm for me isn't in my row. So I'm going to go to Launchpad, and I'm going to go to PyCharm. And I'm going to put new notebook, preparing environment. And this is notebook 1. So this is a Jupyter notebook. In Python, to print something, all you have to do is you have to type print, parentheses, and then you have to put quotation marks. Inside, you can put whatever you want. So I can put, hello, my name is Pradyum. And then I click run. This is the result. Now that we know how to print, we can move on to the next step. So, if you want to label something without it being marked as code, you just put hashtag and what you want to name it. So I'm just going to name it how to print. Now, I'm going to start another code box, so another cell. So I just click this code button here. And then this one is going to be about variables. So variables. And here, I'm going to teach you what a variable is. So a variable can be anything. So I can just say A is equal to 1. And that's a variable. Variables are basically substitutions for other things. So I'm just basically substituting 1 with A. The true definition for a variable is something that can store another value. So, if I click run, it doesn't do anything. Why? Because I only said A is equal to 1. I didn't tell it to do anything. So, I'm going to create a new variable. B is equal to 5. As you see here, you can leave a space in between the number and the equal sign, or you can just keep them all together. The thing is, they just have to be equal. They have to be equal on each side. So, I want it to say what A and B added together are. So I'm going to create a new variable, C. And C is equal to A plus B. How do I print that? I just do print the value of, so I have to get out of the quotation marks, comma, A, then comma, then quotation marks, plus, commas again, B is C. So, if I run it now, the value of 1 plus 5 is 6. It worked. Now, I want to teach you guys something new, because I won't always want to go inside my code and change the number to 5, or 7 or 78. I want the user to input a value they want. So I'm going to create a new code, and I'm going to call this user input. To do user input, we could just type input and then parentheses and then quotation marks, and then they just type something in. But that wouldn't work. Since we want to add them up, we have to make them like this. Int, this, and then we have to close it. Why do we type int? Well, for now, int means integer. And in this, we would type enter a number, and then we done this input. When we run it, it'll ask us how to say 6. It doesn't do anything with that, but now we know how to do an input. And now, I'm going to teach you why we put int. So, in Python, there are multiple types that state what the thing you're entering or the input is. So the one we just used is int, or in other words, integer. An integer is a whole number. It is a whole number that can be positive or negative. Just so you know, it cannot be a decimal. And speaking about decimals, we have another type. That's called float. Float is a decimal. That's basically it. It's a decimal. And just so you know, a little note, when you divide, it automatically goes to the float type. Okay. Well, what would happen in our print statement if I didn't put int? Well, when you put quotation marks, in that situation, it would automatically go to this type. It's called string. What is string? String is any type of sentence or anything in quotation marks. So we can put anything in quotation marks. Letters and words. Okay. We also have another type. It's called Boolean. Yeah, Boolean. I spelled it wrong. So, Boolean. What is Boolean? Boolean is true or false. It just checks if anything is true or false. It can't do anything else. So, there are more, but these are the main ones we'll be focusing on. Let's get back to our code. Now that we know how to do an input, and we know why I put int, what we're going to do is, it only just puts 6, and we just don't want to put 6 because that's the number we put in. We want to use it to add 2 numbers up. So here, instead of enter a number, I want to change it to enter your first number. And I'm going to store that in a variable called num1, and I'm going to just put it like that. Then I'm going to put num2, and as you see, it popped up here. I'm just going to click tab and it will complete. So I put num2 is equal to int, parentheses, input, enter your second number. No, then we'll just do that and delete that. Just delete that space behind there. And then what we'll do is we'll do print the value of, and then we'll put commas here because the value of num1 probably changes, so we'll just put here num1. It will take it from the input. We'll put quotation marks again. plus, and like I said earlier, the value of num2 also changes, so I'll put num2 quotation marks is, we'll go out, comma. Well, we didn't actually assign a variable for that yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to do sum tab is equal to num1 plus num2. So we're going to put sum. Done. So now we click print. I'll get 3. Okay. 3. The value of 3 plus 3 is 6. Woohoo! We did it! Next, I'm going to teach you conditional statements. Now, we're going to learn about conditional statements. So, I'm going to go code, and I'm going to put conditional statements. So, what are conditional statements? Conditional statements are statements we use in Python to check if this should happen. So, let's say if this is green, this should happen. But then else, so if it's not green, this should happen. So in that case, what I'll do is we're going to use if. So we'll be using, I'll put another hashtag, if and else statements. So, to do if and else statements, we basically just put if, something like this, and then colon. But first we have to assign the variables so we can make the statement. And this is going to be our final project today. We're going to be checking if this is even or odd. Even or odd numbers. To do this, we're going to get an input. So we're going to put num1, enter your first, no, enter a number. Sometimes the tab would be wrong because it just checks based on what you did last time. So num, enter a number. Then we're going to check an if and else statement. So if, we're going to put parentheses because we're going to do some math here. Num tab, I'm going to just click num tab. So what does this percentage sign mean? This percentage sign means remainder. So it checks the remainder of num divided by 2. So if it's equal to 0, we put 2 equal signs because we're checking. We don't know for sure. We're not assigning a value. Print tab num is even. Then we can do else tab. We don't have to put a statement here. Print num is odd. So let's run it. Enter number. I'm going to put 567. 567 is odd. And just to make sure it doesn't always say odd, let's put 786. 786 is even. So, let me just do one more. 867. No, 8678. 8,678 is even. So, this is how you do if and else statements. Now, I'm going to teach you the symbols. Just before we end this video, I want to check one thing. We're going to talk about the symbols. So first up, let's just talk about the normal symbols. We probably know these. So plus. Let me zoom in real quick so it's easier for us to see. Plus. So the plus symbol, tab, means to add. These are called mathematical operators. So, plus is to add. Then we have minus, tab, to subtract. Then we have divided by, to divide. And then we have multiply. So, to multiply. I'm sure we all know these four. But in coding, they have other different ones. So, first of all, the one we just used, we used shift percentages. So, tab percentages. What is this? This is used to find the remainder. Okay, then another one is this. What is this? The 2 slash marks is equal to division without decimals. So let's say I do something like 5 divided by 2.5. It would go to 3, not 2.5 divided by 2, I mean. 5 divided by 2 would be 2.5 actually, but it would do 3 because it takes out the decimal. Then we have the equal sign. So the equal sign, it's not that hard. I actually should have put it up here with these 4, but we all know what it means. But here in the equal sign means assigning a value. I talked about this at the start of this video. Then we have a double equals, tab, and then I'll put that little hyphen. I talked about this earlier in the video too. This, when you put 2 equal signs, means checking it. This is very important. So, if we look back in our program, when I was assigning a variable, I always put this one. But when I use the if statement, I always put this one. Because this one checks if. This one is not so sure. Let me put that here. Not so sure. It's asking, it's checking. So, make sure you guys know all of these because these are really, really important. And I'll see you in the next video since we're out of time. Thank you. Bye.